well. I'd like to open in a good way. And so how I open in my culture is, like the prayer you just did, I call in spirit through song. Would you like to hear a song this morning? Some of you might have never heard our style of singing before, and that's okay. But most people don't know what to do at the conclusion of my song. And in our world, we don't clap. In our world, we do what's called a buffalo yell. And it's just an acknowledgement that something sacred has taken place, that you are present with that, and that you are acknowledging that gift. When I sing, I consider it song medicine. So, in the next hour that we have together, I'm going to encourage you to listen with your heart and not with your ears. And if you feel a little awkward about things, that's okay. Anything new sometimes makes you feel that way. But please stay the course with me. So the sound you're going to make at the end of my song sounds like this. Want to try that? On the count of 3, and I'm going to count in my language because I know my language is going to be new to you. I'm going to do this, and let's have a practice run. You ready? Basic, niche, sweat. Pretty good, pretty good. You guys got it. Feels weird, I know, but that's the way that we do things. So I brought my helper. This is my helper. In your world, you call it a drum. In our world, we call it dwagan, the sound of the heart. And it's a very important instrument for us. It's a connection to the spirit world. So in the same way you pray or you go to church, we use our voices in harmony with things that come from the natural world. And so I brought my drum, which I've had for a very long time, and singing was one of the very first gifts that was given to me. So I'm going to offer a song called the Unity Song for each and every one of you on this day. And I sing it out to the 4 cardinal directions. And the reason why I do that is I don't know where you come from, and I don't know where you're going to go home to, but wherever you come from and wherever you go, I'm sending you with the greatest of my respect, the greatest of my prayers, and the greatest of my hope that you will become change makers as a result of this experience today. In your educational experience, you have very limited interaction with people like myself. An authentic voice, that's what I'm providing here today, is a rarity. So I want to thank Tony, Mr. Whelan, for inviting me on this day to share with you to the best of my ability. I'm considered a traditional grandmother and knowledge holder. I'm a singer and a storyteller, and I have a song for you now. Oh, my drum's tight. About our responsibilities, our relationships, and our respect for the world around us. So we have teaching tools. So the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe, they both have sacred bundles. So what you're looking at on the screen is a sacred bundle. It's my sacred bundle, and it's a teaching bundle. And it's one of the ways that I help people who want to learn about my culture through items, so that you can understand not only our way of knowing, but our way of life. Because this is not something we do once in a while. This is the way that we live our life. Our way of life is intimately tied to our relationships all around us, both seen and unseen. They are equal in our world. The basis of the way we teach is behaviors, I think, that could be universally understood and accepted. So no matter where you come from on the earth, it's important to recognize there's a foundational principle upon which we engage. And they're called the 7 sacred teachings. And the 7 sacred teachings are just behaviors that are expected and taught from the moment you're born till the moment you cross back over. Because we believe that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience and not a physical being having a spiritual experience. So when we come together, the process of prayer, and there are many ways to pray, is very important to us because we're honoring the spiritual component of who we are. When I say Anin Bojo to you, the word Bojo is not a derivative of French. Most of you who speak French will say, oh, she's speaking a weird version of French. Bojo comes from the word We Nana Bojo. We Nana Bojo is half spirit and half human. We Nana Bojo was on this earth long before we arrived and named everything that you can see and left many stories and teachings from us for us to learn from. So when I say Bojo, I'm taking a portion of the name of that being who walked this earth long before us, and that spiritual portion, and I'm recognizing that in you. So that's why I say the translation for Bojo is my spirit recognizes your spirit. Wisdom, love, respect, bravery, honesty, humility, and truth. This is the way that we choose to engage all the time, not just some of the time, and at any age and stage in your life. So if you're a little wee one, you're getting the same principles, the same engagement, the same values, infused into you and imbued around you so that you can learn how to be the best human being that you can be in the time that you're here. Because if we're honest about it, and you're young people, so it's hard for you to envision this, you're not going to be here forever. Some of us might make the century mark and get to be 100 years old. But the average man, dies around his 70-ish years. The average woman dies in her 80s, right? So we don't have a lot of old people anymore. So in that time, what are you going to do while you're here? Who are you going to be? What gifts are you going to unpackage? Because when you were born, you were given all kinds of gifts from the spirit world. And your job in your life walk is to unpackage those and share those in some meaningful way. So these are the principles we use to begin unpackaging and sharing in a good way. So this, when you look at this, and a lot of people are very curious about this, they wonder what that is. So that's what we call a medicine wheel. And inside of each component there are medicines. These are our medicines we use to pray with.
Cheers. Anyway, I've learned so much from Kim. And I asked if I could share what I've been learning. I asked permission. And I remember thinking to myself, if she says no, that wouldn't be appropriate, I wouldn't have asked a second time. I asked with an open mind. But she said yes. So I've been learning a lot from her, and she gave me permission to share it. This is Steve, and Steve is the artist who made this medicine sphere. And so I learned about the medicine wheel from Kim, and it means so much. But I've been collecting beaver sticks, sort of a thing at my cottage, and they leave them around. Like this is pointed. I'm just amazed at the work that they do. So this medicine sphere, I'll come back to that. It has to do with this. Steve also made this here. It's a walking stick. And this is a stick that was chewed by a beaver. Both ends left behind. There's even a bit of purple in that. It's amazing. Anyway, Steve is an artist. He works at the Painted Turtle up there near my cottage. And I made this medicine sphere. And I had string and tied it together, and it was kind of wobbly. I didn't know how I was going to make it stand. And I brought it to him, and he put it on this stand, and he added the little cedar, and he painted it for me. I told him my vision. He told me as he painted, his third eye came out, and he sort of had some visions. I want to speak about this medicine sphere and what it means to me. First of all, it started with some beaver sticks. So these are actually beaver sticks here. You can see if you look closer that this is chewed by a beaver on both ends. Now, what does a beaver represent? A beaver represents industriousness, hard work. And the four colors on the medicine sphere, they represent body, mind, spirit, emotions. And as I told Steve, I wanted to use this as a teaching tool. And the main point here is about the necessity of hard work. So we go to school, we work hard to develop our mind. Your body, you need to work hard. I saw a great video of Will Smith. You know, Will Smith is kind of ripped. And he said, you know, people come up to him and say, I want to be like you. And he says, no, you don't. You don't really. If you really did, you do what it takes. He says, for instance, when you're doing push-ups, how many push-ups should you do? Your last push-up should be, you should fail at it. You can't even make that last one. He said you need to work. How do muscles build? They actually get ripped. And he said you should fail at your last one. He said, fail early, fail often, fail forward. It's the only way to grow. And so, hard work. You need to work your body, you need to work your mind, your spirit, and your emotional life as well, your friends. I tell you what, here in this chapel, we had boys' night. So they put the boys into groups. There was 15 kids in a group, and I'd have these boys coming into the chapel. So they were going around, and they'd have sumo wrestling, and they'd have ice cream contests, and all these kind of fun things. And then they'd come in here, and I'd have to speak to them about spirituality. So what do you think I did? I said to them, okay, guys, who's the strongest person here? And, you know, they'd elect who's the strongest. I said, I tell you what, I can do more push-ups than you. And you know what? I guarantee it. So we had a push-up contest, and we were doing push-ups, and out of the 8 groups that came through, I won 7 times. I don't know what happened that last one, but I said to them, you know how I knew I was going to win? One of the kids said, faith? I go, no, it's not faith. It's hard work for one thing. I've been doing a lot of push-ups and working out and that kind of thing. But it's also, even if I didn't do more push-ups than you, my last one was going to be the last one I could possibly do. And even if you did more than me, I wouldn't have lost. Anyway, the beaver sticks. It's about hard work. Think about how Christ asked for absolutely everything. He gave absolutely everything. Christian life isn't about being saved, it's about being spent. The Shema, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind and all your strength. He doesn't ask for much, does he? He asks for everything. The widow's 2 pennies. Think of it. The symbol of our faith, giving our all. The other thing about it is, why the spear? Well, Ken Wilber is somebody that I read a lot of, and he talks about integral spirituality. You need to work on body, mind, spirit, emotions, and you need to do all 4 on 3 levels. And these 3 levels here are nature, self, and society. So you take any one of them. If you take physical, nature, you need to feed your body right, nutrients and so on. Self, you need to have self-discipline and so on. And then you might work with others as well. You know, developing the mind. There's certainly a natural aspect to that. There's self-discipline and self-study, self-directed learning, and there's also working with others. Spirit, the very same thing. Connect it with nature, have a private prayer life. You need to have a spiritual director and a church community. Work on all 4, on all 3 levels, and that's an integral approach to spirituality. Sometimes with students I say, do you believe you can do anything if you work hard enough? If you put your mind to it, you can do absolutely anything? And they all put up their hands. And I sort of feel bad because I say to them, I don't believe you can do anything. There's lots of things I can't do, you know. Now we do believe I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. Faith adds a whole nother dimension. And I say to them, if God wants you to do something, he's going to give you everything you need to do whatever it is you're here for. You have a special charism and graces, you know. Now that brings us to this on the outside. This is a vine that was growing near my cottage, and I cut that mostly because it was easy to bend. You know, I soaked it in water and bent it. But the vine, what does the vine mean in our Christian theology? We think of John 15. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you will remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. So it's not all about our own effort, as the beaver sticks represent. It's also about grace. You need to work within what you're given and grace, and work with that and make the most of it. In Philippians 2, it says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, hard work. The very next line seems to say that it's all God's doing. For it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purposes. So it's some happy combination of both. Our free will, our effort, along with God's grace. That's what the medicine sphere means for me.